Make us someone hire us. Make us the match.
That's not a bad shout at all. He's never been knocked out cold, flat on the canvas, eyes up at the ceiling lights.
Does anyone else hate these social media announcements? Maybe I'm alone on that. Stop with the Instagram stuff. This makes no sense.
Welcome back to Against the Cage, your MMA home for all the biggest fight recaps and previews and exclusive interviews, so make sure to give us a like and subscribe so you don't want to miss out on any of that stuff. My name is Jake Arrier. I'm here with Erich Richter. Our other co-host, Scott Fontana, is out enjoying some time with his family for the next couple weeks, but he will be back soon. Erich, we've got some big fight announcements to talk about. Your favorite thing, the big man Dana White going on IG Live announcing some of these fights. So let's talk about them. Why don't we? The first one, the biggest in terms of weight, heavyweight, we got Tom Aspinall taking on Ciryl Gane, which I'll just ask you. This is for UFC 321, by the way. Do you feel that this is anticlimactic? Are you satisfied with this announcement?
I'm never satisfied. is the quick answer. I am never satisfied. Anything with the heavyweight division that doesn't involve Jones and Gane, obviously this involves Aspinall, but there's just not a real opponent for him. I mean, I'll give you the betting line, right? That's what everybody wants to know about, right? Especially after last week. I don't know if anyone caught me. I absolutely dominated picks last week.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Ciryl Gane plus 325 on the money line. Not expected to be a competitive fight. Aspinall is the clear star of the heavyweight division. He is, according to betting markets, heads and tails above the rest. You might remember once upon a time he was a slight underdog to Curtis Blades, TBT. But those days have come and gone. What else is the UFC supposed to do, though? It's not. I mean, it is their fault that some of the fights haven't come together. But where we currently stand is you can't force John to fight. You no longer have Ngannou under contract. So what else are they supposed to do, right? They could have thrown Alex Pereira up there if he had beaten Magomed Ankalaev, but he did not. So what are you supposed to do? There's not a whole lot there.
Yeah, we'll get there. That betting line does not surprise me though, because Tom Aspinall's been grappling since basically he learned how to walk, right? And seeing how that first John fight went with Ciryl, getting guillotined in the first round, and also you could say that he arguably lost the fight to Ngannou from the grappling, which Ngannou's not really known for. I think that's maybe why this betting line is where it's at. So I wouldn't say that I'm sorry.
I'll mention no method of victory props out yet, but Aspinall by submission seems like definitely would be like an interesting play.
It seems like it would be in the minus. Honestly, it's got to be right.
Could be.
But yeah, for me, I would say I'm not satisfied, but I do agree with you. Maybe Jelton Almeida, but I'm not sure if you know what, it's a business, and I feel like Ciryl is going to do more numbers from them because people know his name more.
Right.
Jelton might be more for the diehard fans. But my next question for you is: we've just been talking about how he is a bit of an underdog. Do you think that Gane has any sort of chance in this fight?
Not particularly. I mean, I actually think the stand-up will be somewhat competitive, but there's just such a clear path to victory. Like, if he gets a takedown, he's going to win. Gane's just not a grappler. It's just what it is. You mentioned Jelton Almeida. Fight announcement for him came up recently as well, fighting Alexander Volkov on the same fight card. So potentially maybe like a backup scenario there. So good shot there, Jake. Potentially, if Gane were to pull out, I don't know how they feel about Gane's ability to show up, but who knows? That fight might end up happening. It's on the same card.
I do 25th. Like that a lot because
that's the shout. That's a good shout right there.
Did Ciryl really beat Volkov? Should Volkov be the one fighting Aspinall? Although they kind of they did fight, and Tom did what Tom does and won in the first couple rounds. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of ring time, Aspinall. When I interviewed Mike Bisping, interviewed him in person. I believe it was a year and a half ago, and Bisping could not stop raving about Tommy. He could not stop. It was the amount of hype that Aspinall had even 2 years ago coming off of an ACL was unbelievable. I was asking him, what do you think about like how he looks? Like, what's his training regimen like? And he's like, Erich, the guy moves like a middleweight and is built like a heavyweight. It's unbelievable. And Aspinall, has a chance to be heavyweight GOAT here if he's able to run through. It just seems like he could run through the division with relative ease. I think Almeida might be the most interesting matchup, but he's undersized for the division, so there's
Yeah,
really not a whole lot there.
yeah.
Um, to answer your question, has Gane have a chance? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, if he can stop the takedowns, which I don't expect him to, you know,
Then
then
we'll
yeah, sure.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
stuff the first takedown and get back to me. You're not gonna get a bet out of me until then.
fair enough. Fair enough. Now you were mentioning one Alex Pereira. We were waiting to see what the heck was going to happen with him. Would he face Magomed again? Would he go up to heavyweight like I was hoping for, but sadly did not get? No, he will be facing Magomed Ankalaev for the rematch, and this is for UFC 320. Now we did have the first fight, under our belts. So my question to you is, what did we learn from that fight going into this one, and what adjustments to the game plan do you think that Alex Pereira can make to get his title back?
We learned that Alex Pereira's off of his back foot against a grappler, which is probably most fighters. It was terrified of the takedown. It affected him in every way. It affected his mind. It affected his striking. It affected everything. Now you'll remember that fight was near pick'em status. Jake, I'll ask you, what do you think the line is for Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev 2?
He's got to be the underdog. He has to. So I'm going to say that Alex Pereira is, I'll say plus 175.
Wow, really good job. Plus 165. Real close.
Hey,
Good job.
thank you.
Yep. Pereira vs. Ankalaev. Ankalaev has been highly thought of in the heavyweight division in the light heavyweight division for a long time. You'll remember that he fought Glover Teixeira, a fight that he probably should have won. And Dana White got pretty upset with him. And from there, they had some issues. There was some issues with, how he handled
Or
himself.
do you mean Jan Blachowicz?
It was Blachowicz. You are
Yes, yeah.
correct. It was Jan Blachowicz. UFC Dana White was a little upset with how he handled himself after the fight, and he kind of got set back a little bit by that. He
Yeah,
just seemed
yes, he
to
did.
never got never got a real fight ever again after that until he finally got this fight against Pereira where he didn't go for the takedowns and he still won. Go figure.
Yeah, or
Very
at least he
strange.
didn't get them. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even really the grappling wasn't even a big part of his game plan. So Alex is going to need to catch him. So I would say adjustment to the game plan, get that uppercut ready. Get that uppercut ready and try to catch him coming in.
Maybe be
Don't let
more
him get
aggressive. Yeah.
or kicks. Kick heavy, right?
Hmm.
Like and rewatching that fight, there was not enough kicking. Like I want him like his game plan Uncle Ive's game plan is so forward pressure heavy. You need to make it so that he can't even walk forward on his leg. Those kicks have to be so elite that he does not want to put the weight on his foot to go forward.
Yeah, and we've seen that in, like you mentioned, that fight
Yes.
with Blachowicz. That's what gave him a lot of success on Blahovich's part, was absolutely murdering the legs of Magomed Ankalaev. So
100%. So that's what you're going to need to see. You're going to need to see leg kick heavy. I believe that he had talked about some sort of leg injury after the fight, and there's some uncertainty of why he wasn't throwing more leg kicks since that is his thing. Um, so the adjustment of the game plan is pretty simple. Kicks and, you know, make sure that when he's coming in, you're making him pay for it. You're not just letting him come in. You got to make him pay. So you got to hit it. You got to crack his chin a little bit. You got to hit the body. You got to hit the legs. But there's got to be some sort of repercussion for coming forward at that consistency.
yeah, now if Alex cannot get the job done, if he loses once again to Magomed Ankalaev, what do you think is at stake for him here? Do you see him sticking around in MMA at all? And if so, do you think he goes up to heavyweight? What does the future look like for Alex if he loses this fight again?
Well, he certainly lost some shine on the last fight. I think he's still a huge star.
A
Um,
little aura lost, unfortunately.
little bit of an aura loss, no doubt. Like the lack of activity, the lack of kicking, it almost made me think that, well, he's a little bit older now. I mean, how old is Alex? I believe he's 38 or 39.
That sounds right, yeah.
But so that's my issue is like where is he at this point of his career? What could be next for him if he were to lose, as the betting markets are predicting? Um, I mean, you twist my wrist. I'd watch the Adesanya fight again at light heavyweight. I don't know what you think, Jake, but I mean, I'd watch it again.
I'm not sure, man. Alex is big, and I don't know if Adesanya can get that big, then maybe. But I think at that heavier of a weight, I don't know if Adesanya could take a shot from Pereira. So It's not a bad shout, but for me, the only option that dude, I just want this heavyweight fight. I want Alex Pereira to go up to heavyweight and become the only person in MMA history to achieve 3 titles in 3 different weight classes, or at least in the UFC. Maybe it's been done in a smaller promotion, but that would be absolutely historic. Like, definition of speed running. So
So who would you, I'm putting you on the spot here. Who would you want him to fight? Like if you were matchmaking at heavyweight, who would you want Alex Pereira to face as a heavyweight opponent? That's a tough one.
I I think that you could do Aspinall straight away.
Really?
I think you could, but if not, John Jones. Why not? Right? But the thing is, John Jones is just going to take Pereira down and try
Yeah.
and submit him.
It has to be a striker. What
It's
about
gotta
Cyril
be a
Gane?
striker.
Gane?
That's
What
a
about
great
Cyril
fight.
Gane? If Gane loses?
That's good. I actually like that
That's
shot a lot.
yeah.
That's
Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane if Gane loses, and then you do Aspinall if Pereira wins. Make us someone hire us. Make us the matchmaker.
that's not a bad
Period.
shout at all. So let's move on to the next one. Merab Dvalishvili will be taking on Corey Sandhagen in his 3rd title defense of this year, which bravo to Merab. We need more activity from our champions. That's also for UFC 320. We've got another one right after this. 320 is looking like a great card. So like I mentioned, this will be his 3rd title defense. Out of the 4 title fights that we've seen from Merab Dvalishvili, I should say, where does this rank for you in terms of interest? How much do you like this one compared to the others?
Well, so are we including the first fight with Sean when he fought for the title?
I would say so.
Okay, so that was the Sphere card. So that's probably yeah, all right. So in terms of like entertainment level, I'd say Sean O'Malley at the Sphere the first time. Entertainment wise, that's what I was looking forward to most going into it. Stylistic matchup wise, I'd say Umar was probably the
Absolutely. It's got to be, right?
number one. So I'd say this probably is somewhere third. I didn't need to see the O'Malley Merab rematch. Sandhagen Merab feels like the third of the four, right? O'Malley twice, Umar once, and then Sandhagen. I'd say you're looking at he's number three in terms of excitement level for this fight. Sandhagen, not a bona fide finisher. Not like he's a solid grappler, but you would think that Merab's going to have the advantage in that area. And then striking wise, it's hard to tell who will have the striking advantage because Merab's forward pressure is so dominant that it's in the takedown threat is so it's the same thing with Ankalaev and Pereira. Ankalaev's not a better striker than Alex Pereira, but the forward pressure and the takedown threat is so evident that it's hard to decide who will win striking exchanges because they're so focused on the
We
takedown.
saw that, I think, a little bit in that Sean rematch
Yes.
when we watched that in person in New Jersey. Like, Sean was getting hit by Merab, and
Yes.
in a vacuum, Sean is a better striker. Most people
Yes.
would argue, right? But like you're
Yeah.
saying, yeah, that pressure, which Merab's got a
Yeah.
lot of.
Khabib, Conor McGregor, same thing. Like it was, Khabib not, everyone said Khabib's not a striker, but he knocked Conor down on his butt, pretty hard there in the second round, and that was a big moment. And when you look at it, it's hard to see. Like Merab looks like he's getting a lot better. I'll ask you again, what do you think the betting line is for this fight?
I'm gonna say Merab minus 230.
Little light there, little light there,
Oh,
minus 340.
oh, damn. Okay, I
No
was I was
love,
off. I was off.
no love for the Sandman there.
Yeah,
Plus 310 on the money line for Sandhagen. Now, I would
plus
say,
310. Wow.
yeah, plus 310 on the money line. I would say, regardless, I always liked Sandhagen's grappling. So I think that there is something there where, maybe his takedown defense could be good enough, where he's able to just not be on the mat the whole time. But who knows? I mean, his cardio, we have not seen Sandhagen's cardio beat, but Merab's got the best cardio in the game. So I think there's more question marks. I think plus 310 is a little high. I agree with you. I think plus 310 is a little high. But those are my initial thoughts on it. It's tough. It's definitely a tough fight to handicap and just pinpoint what to expect.
Yeah, Corey is a little bit of a tough cookie when it comes to that stuff. Like
Yeah.
he is at the top of the level. The question is, is he going to be able to beat possibly the best bantamweight to ever do it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it as like he has losses to Dillashaw. I think that was a bad decision, but he split decision loss to Dillashaw, lost to Piotr Jan, and then he has
Umar.
Umar, but then he's beaten pretty much everybody else. But the loss to Jan was unanimous. I know Jan was at his peak at that point, but when you see the Jan loss and then you see what Merab did to Jan, and I know MMA math isn't an exact science, that can't be great
It's
for
so fun
Sandhagen.
to talk about, though. Like
Yeah.
we get proved wrong all the time in MMA math, but like you have to bring it up. You have to.
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
with a little asterisk on there, like you did there. Okay, another one that we've also got. This is the last of the big four fights that Mr. Dana White announced on IG Live. Your favorite, Jiri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree at UFC 320. So it's the same card as Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira too. When they do like top contender matchups on the same card as a title fight in that same division, a lot of the time it seems like they're throwing that together as a bit of a title eliminator, maybe get them thrown into the cage afterwards for a little face-off. How would you feel about this fight being a title eliminator if that's the case?
Sure. It's a fun fight. It's not a fight that's going to get me, they announced it. And does anyone else hate these social media announcements? Maybe I'm alone on that. Hit me in the comments, hit my DMs. Let me know what you got on it. I hate these Instagram live. They have a show that they could be putting together video packages for. They announce them whenever they want. It's not like this is going to leak ahead of time. They announce these whenever they want. You could put together a video package. You pay a lot of money for their video packages. So quick rant, throw a video package together for your card this weekend that's on ABC. Stop with the Instagram stuff. This makes no sense.
I'm not
I,
gonna
I,
lie. Yeah, before you were the first person to bring up any sort of disdain about the IG live announcements from Dana. And you know what? At first, I was pretty indifferent about it. And hearing you go off about this, every time I kind of see them seemingly with like less and less energy, I kind of agree, honestly. It used to be that it wasn't on IG live. He would just like post it as a post, and that's when you get the iconic "What's up, guys?" and he's in front of the whiteboard. Those were better. There's a lot more energy.
there's something exciting about that.
Yeah. But I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that why not announce fights on UFC cards or, like you said, they've got a multitude of shows. They've got the weigh-in shows. They've got all this other stuff that they could do. Like, you would think that would increase viewership, but I guess it's easier on social media to get it to the masses.
I
But
literally think it's about getting followers on social media.
yeah,
I'm
but why?
not even.
I agree. Why not? I would be fine if they just went back to the post. It doesn't need to be live.
There are millions of people that are going to watch this card on ABC. Millions. The amount of reach that they will have, and who knows how long they're going to have that reach for. There's going to be tons of reach that people that are going to watch this card. You do it right between the main event and the prelims, and you're done. You cut, clip, and send. Could be really fun. Really stupid that they don't do it. I hate this Instagram live stuff. Khalil Rountree versus Jiri Prochazka. Dana White said, if you know, you know. That was his way of selling it. What do you think the betting line is, Jake?
Oh God, it's got to be pretty even. Um, I'll go minus 120 Khalil.
Okay, so it opened up as even money. So you're right there on the opening, but then money has flown in on Jiri Prochazka.
That makes sense.
He is a minus 190 favorite.
Wow, I think that's got to come down.
I agree.
There's value on Khalil there. I would
Jiri
say.
does not play defense.
No,
Jiri does not play defense, and Khalil kind of does. He looked good last time out.
he did. He really
Yeah.
did. Yeah, but
Well,
people love Yuri, so that's why that line.
People do love Jiri. He's definitely a fan favorite. No
Yeah.
doubt about it.
So
Somebody stop these Instagram live posts. Somebody's got to stop them. If you disagree, let me know. I have not gotten a whole lot of disagreements out of this, honestly. This is one of my better takes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I didn't really think about that, but now that you bring it up, it kind of makes sense. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you agree with Eric, and let us know which out of these big fights that were announced is your favorite. Let us know what you think about them in general. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Let us know down below. So that is the big news that's happened since the last time that we've talked. But as far as recapping what happened last weekend, we have two things to break down: UFC 318 and PFL Cape Town. Let's of course start with UFC 318, the Swan Song for one Dustin Poirier. And Max Holloway comes away with the decision over 5 rounds over Dustin. He does the point down in the final 10 seconds. Dustin kind of engages and then says, "Actually, I'm pretty good." But yeah, over the
Business
course, yeah, go for it.
business decision.
Business decision. Yeah, I don't want to go out like Justin Gaethje, right?
No.
So, no, but Max looked great over the course of the fight. It was a great fight. There was a lot of good moments in terms of damage from both guys. Holloway getting the better of Dustin, I think, over 5 rounds. Same. The judges agreed with that. But so, how impressed with Max Holloway at 155 were you?
Super impressed. He looked awesome. He looked shred city too. Oh my God, he looked so shredded. He's definitely grown into 155, and you hear that. I said it last week. I was like messaging with some of his team, and he's like he is just such a savage on 155. I believe I said on the podcast last week, but holy God, did he look good. Still hittable on the feet. Ilia Topuria is still going to be a tough matchup for him, but
We'll get
man,
there.
the volume. The volume is wonderful. And I said this when I was watching it. I felt like Holloway kind of gave Poirier the benefit of the doubt by letting him stand up there in the first round. He's like, give him a second to recover because Poirier was rocked,
Yeah.
was absolutely rocked in the first round, and Max totally took his foot off the gas, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I totally think he took his foot off the gas and let Poirier get up there because I think it would have been a TKO in the first round had he stepped on the gas. And as a Max Holloway by decision better with quite a bit of money on it, it was a sweat to say the very least, especially looking at the point down with 10 seconds left. And I knew Poirier was shot, and he knew he was shot too. And that's why it was even funnier, is because he was shot too, and he was like, "Let's clinch up. I'm not doing this." He's like, I'm not playing this game with you. I saw Gaethje. Business decision, good for me, good business for me as well.
Yeah. There we go. So, and we will get to exactly how well you did when we get to your 3 bets in 3 minutes. But you referenced Ilia Topuria. I'll tell you right now, I am not. I don't have much of an appetite for Max facing Ilia again, just based off of the fact that the question when Ilia was going to fight for the title is like, is that power going to translate? And I know Charles gets dropped, but he's never been knocked out cold, flat on the canvas, eyes up at the ceiling lights. So the answer is a resounding yes, that power does translate to 155. But I feel like people, it seems like, including yourself to a certain extent, look at Max at 155 as a bit of like a mythical fighter, So
A little bit
what's your appetite for that fight?
for Holloway versus. I think it's actually the fight. We're gonna talk about this in quick hits, but I think that it's hard not to. Scott, if Scott were here, he'd be begging for Arman Tarzukian. Um, I just don't think that they're gonna let him do it.
I want it to. I
I
want it.
don't think they're gonna let him do it. I think they're gonna do Holloway to Poirier because his box office. Give Max another shot at the title, probably be his last one. At least while Poirier is there, and then go from there. What do I think will happen? I think that they'll give it to Holloway. What do I want to see happen? It should be Arman.
Yeah. If they do give it to Holloway, they could do the Patty fight. He called out that little posh boy Armin, so they could get that one together. That would be
Yes,
pretty
sir.
fun. And then you
That was
don't
a good
necessarily have to be like, all right, Gaethje fight Patty, because Gaethje would like retire if that happens. So maybe you don't have to get some bad blood going on with Gaethje, but it kind of sounds like the UFC doesn't really care at that point. Like Dana White had that press conference, and he was like, all right, then retire. So
I need that accent on the intro to the show.
okay, I'll throw that on. That
I
little
need,
posh boy Armin.
yeah, yeah. Give me that one. Give me that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But as far as UFC 318, there were a lot of great fights. Was there anyone else who impressed you on there?
Paulo Costa looked awesome. Go figure. I loved it. His body kicks were awesome, and he got a little tired in the third round, but he just ripped Roman Kopylov to the body, and that was a fun fight to watch. Honestly, I was impressed. I actually thought he came in correct during the press conference as well. I thought that he was super engaged. I don't think that he's going to fight for another title or anything like that. But I think that it's good to have him back. 185, he's built like a Greek god. He can grapple, and if he could kick like that still, I'm not saying that he's gonna, maybe he could fight like if Whitaker were to lose, I would do Whitaker versus Paulo Costa, right?
I think they might have done that one recently. Middleweight's like so mixed up because like everyone's fought everyone. I have to check, but
Or do De Ritter.
possibly.
If Ritter were to lose, or even if he wins, it could be interesting. Paulo Costa back in there is a good for the UFC. It's good for everybody.
I
Uh,
agree.
but overall, I thought that was my one of my winners of the card was Paulo Costa. I thought he looked awesome. Obviously, Pitbull looked good. Had Pitbull by decision as well, and he
Good
looked
to have him
awesome.
bounce back. Yeah.
And he go kind of a guy where he just sometimes doesn't show up in the big moments. Like he'll like save a card, look awesome. Like when he what card was it? Who pulled out? I forget. Someone pulled out. Danny Gay steps in on 1 day
Brian
notice.
Ortega, yeah, that was the number is of the pay-per-view is missing maybe. Yeah, steps in against Diego Lopez after Brian Ortega
Yes.
pulls out last
Yeah,
minute.
and looked pretty good in that fight, but then you see him come in here as a favorite. He loses pretty badly. Not great stuff from Danny Gay. Um, yeah, I mean those are your two obvious winners.
Yeah, and
There's some
then
pre
Michael
there's some
Johnson
prelims.
too.
Michael Johnson, another one. My issue with like the card as a whole, so many squash spots. There were so many like just mismatches,
Ah,
and I don't want to say that the UFC is doing that deliberately. Obviously, they're trying to build fighters. This is the fight game, right? This isn't. This is it's not a democracy over there. They're doing what they're doing, with their pockets in mind. So I get it, but there's so many squash fights. There's only 3 fights where the favorite was inside of minus 200 of a 14 fight card. There's only 3 fights where the favorite was inside of minus 200. Like all of them were squash matches. And there was some underdogs that won. Obviously, Michael Johnson was a plus 500 underdog and
yeah,
won. So it's not to say that the whole card was just, favorite, favorite, favorite. I'm really just saying this about the prelims. The prelims were all finishes, almost all of them were finishes, almost all of them were first round, and
you're
almost all
complaining about finishes.
no, 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 no. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about the finishes. I'm complaining about the matchups. It was like some of the guys in there shouldn't have been in the UFC. Like one of them was 0-3, I believe.
Mhm.
Like that's tough. That's tough for me to get behind. But 'tis life. It is what it is.
Tis life, tis life. Well, another finish that happened over the weekend was in Cape Town, South Africa. This was absolute insanity. Costello Van Steenis, just about to go to the scorecards against Johnny Eblin, who, by all accounts, most people would say he was, he needed a finish in that 5th round. And lo and behold, in the 5th round, in the waning seconds of the round, I believe when he got off of Johnny Eblin, it was like 7 seconds left on the clock. Rear naked choke, unconscious. Van Steenis defeats Johnny Eblin in a comeback victory. We just did our MMA halfway awards of the year. Do you think that right now this is the front runner for submission of the year?
It could be. I mean, Costello, I watched a fight. I think it was at least 3-1 going in. It was probably 3-1 going into round 5. That's how I had it scored.
Sure.
If you're looking at it with a very generous eye, maybe you have a bet on Costello, Van Steenis, maybe you could give it 2-2. Probably not, though. That'd be really, really generous. So down on the scorecards, 10 seconds, he's able to reverse position, body triangle, and you could see Eblin's just shot. He was like, I can't defend this. He's looking around, trying to figure out what to do, tries to get his back to the mat, can't do it, tries to fight the choke, just looks up and just goes out. I mean, that's all you could do. The choke starts with about 18 seconds left, and he's out by 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So it took 10 seconds for that choke to sink in and go unconscious. That's how crazy this game is.
Yeah. No, it was insanity. I didn't watch it live, but the second I saw the notification, I was like, I have to go back and watch this. This is
Yeah.
too good to not to pass this up, right? But
Evelyn Strickling did not look great in that fight. I will just say.
there was a lot of holding against the cage.
Yes.
So
Yes. Makes it harder to score because it's like how much do the judges know about or care about damage?
it is. It is. Well, you know what? The unified, or maybe it's not the unified rules. The John McCarthy and whoever comes up with the judging rules, they're adding more descriptors in there. I don't necessarily think it's for the judges, but I think it's really more for people like us and for the athletes as well to get some more clarification about that. So that'll be nice for people like you and myself. I know if Scott were here, he'd have a lot to maybe elaborate on this, but
Yeah,
Scott,
that's his wheelhouse. Shout out to you for knowing it though.
yeah. Oh well, we'll get there. I'll know more when they come out with that stuff. But what do you think is next for Johnny Eblen? Do you think he gets this rematch?
Yeah, Ian Parker talked about this on his Twitter. It seems pretty obvious that the rematch should be coming. PFL's matchmaking is a little spotty, a little confusing. Seems like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen that don't know what they're chefing up. They're kind of just going off the rip and just seeing what happens.
Throwing stuff at a
Regardless,
wall.
throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what comes back, and sometimes it's not a whole lot of good stuff. But regardless, it would be crazy not to make this main event. But they also not to make this rematch for a main event. But Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes has still eluded us. So
This seems like a big fight. If this is one of the things that PFL like it gets them on the radar. Like, oh whoa, like did you see this PFL thing? And
they
I
actually do it.
yeah. So I think that to what you're speaking to though, like this would be a good main event for them to do. It brings some intrigue in. So I think that they'll probably do it, but you never know, right?
Yep.
So that is this past weekend taken care of. Let's take a look at this weekend. We got UFC on ABC, Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. What are your expectations for the winner of this fight? Do you think that either of these guys could get a title shot? Are there title implications here? Maybe for Robert Whittaker, Reinier de Ridder. What do you think?
If you squint and if the performance is specifically impressive, if Reinier de Ridder runs in there, KOs Robert Whittaker in the first round, submits Robert Whittaker in a dominant fashion in the first round, then yes, there is title.
It's like Paul Atreides in Dune. He's like, there's a narrow path,
Yeah, the great movie. Yeah. So I mean, if there's a really really good finish early on, then sure, you got me. But if there's not, then no, probably
He needs
not.
one more, maybe.
You would probably need one more. There'd have to be a finish, a dominant finish. And you know what? And guess the line. What do you think the line is for this fight?
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
The Ritter with a plus 300 underdog to Bo Nickel. So just think about that after you give the answer. It's not related to the line, but
I'll go Whittaker. I'll say Whittaker minus 200.
all right, you're pretty good at this. He's
Oh,
minus 165. And honestly, that surprised me. I thought he should be an underdog.
yeah. I think that I don't know. Whittaker's one of those guys though. Like he was it Ikram Alaskarov that he was an underdog against, and
That's part of the reason why I thought so.
mm,
That's
yeah,
part of the reason. Underdog to Ikram, and I know he won that fight convincingly, but I would just say like De Ridder would be a favorite against Ikram Alaskarov. I mean, obviously now that he lost the fight, but
right.
you know, it's
Yeah,
easy to say.
you know what? I'm pretty impressed with Rainier, so I think I can. I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I really like this one, and I wouldn't say that I'm surprised that Whittaker's the favorite, just because he has been around in this game for so long, and he looked great in that fight against Ikram, and then losing to Hamzat is losing to Hamzat. It's
Right. Well, the thing is his jaw broke, right?
yeah.
So like if we're talking about title opportunity, even if Whittaker were to win the first round of this fight, if Hamzat beats Dricus, there's no way you feed Whittaker again to Hamzat after he slayed his jaw in half.
You
I
can't
mean,
do it.
can't do it again. If De Ridder wins in the first round and Hamzat wins, then I'm fine with that. I believe De Ridder is a similar size to Hamzat as well, which is a big part of it. De Ridder is at least 6'3".
He's a big boy, I think. Yeah.
I mean, he was towering over Bo Nickel. I know Bo Nickel's like 5'11", so he's at least 6'2". And then I'd have to look at, I believe Hamzat's in that same range. So size wise, I actually like the matchup. But like I said, it all depends on how impressive how impressive the finish would be. It'd have to be a finish.
Yeah, I don't see, even if Duplessis wins, I can't see Rob getting another title shot. I think he has after that Hamzat loss, I don't know if there is a path back to the title for him, or at least one that would intrigue me that much. He's already lost to Duplessis, and Duplessis looks better every fight.
Hamzat is 6'2" and De Ridder is 6'4".
Oh wow, 6'4"
So
to Ritter. Wow.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. If De Ridder wins in the first round, we'll talk about that in bets.
Yeah.
If he wins, I like it. I would like that matchup for sure. He's won four straight. He's in one championship. I mean, you know, he had some not so great fights in the one championship, but maybe he's come on anew here in the UFC.
Yeah, he's one of the few fighters to kind of come in from an outside organization in recent memory and do honestly exceed expectations rather than falling short of them. So we'll see
In
if
terms
he
of
can.
wins, in terms of wins, absolutely. Like Michael Chandler was like he beat expectations in terms of entertainment value,
Mhm.
but not in terms of wins. Gaethje is the last one that I can think of that came from another organization that put on a show.
Yeah, so we'll see if that trend continues on Saturday night. Or actually, it might be Saturday during the day, considering it is across the world. So, but we've also got Petr Yan taking on Marcus McGee. A bantamweight fight that we didn't know we needed, but I think that this one will definitely be an entertaining one. Do you think that this fight, we just talked about Merab and Corey, do you think that this will earn whoever wins this, more specifically for Petr, because I think he's closer there. He's been up at the top echelon of bantamweight for a while now. Do you think he could see himself facing the winner of Merab Corey with a win for this one?
I mean, it's bantamweight is so loaded that it's hard to get there, especially if it is Merab still. You would have to show something that you haven't shown in the past. So it'd have to be and McGee's not the fighter to even do this, so probably not. It would have to be against to show off that a grappler can't grapple you for an extended period of time. And I'm not sure that that's even possible in this fight specifically. Marcus McGee profiles as a really solid striker. And if it is totally within the range of outcomes that he lands a TKO here or gets a finish, depending on where Jan's at right now. But they're kind of pushing McGee up the ladder here a little bit. Shout out to Jan for accepting this. I believe Tapology had Jan as the number 3 fighter in the world at bantamweight, and I think McGee was in the teens. He was at 13 or 12 or something like that. But McGee's 35, so it's either he's getting up there, he's either going there now or he's never going to happen. So this is an opportunity to make a name for himself. Jan's never been finished, so this is such a tough fight for him. Do you correct me if I'm wrong? Is this a 3 round fight or a 5 round fight? I don't even remember.
I want to say it's a 3 round fight, but if it was a
That
5 round fight and that news broke, I missed it.
okay, so that would help. That would help McGee quite a bit. Um, quite a bit actually, because Jan lost the 3 round fight to O'Malley by split decision, controversial as hell. Get that. But 3 round fights, not really his wheelhouse, right? He's a slow starter. He drops the first round consistently.
Not a bad shout. So we'll
I don't
see.
know.
It is a bit of a tall order. I see what you're saying, though, for Marcus McGee. If he is trying to shoot up and make one last run, for the title, he is probably going to need some sort of a finish, which is quite a tall order for Merab. But let's talk about some of the other fights on this card. What is your fight to watch for this weekend?
Everyone's favorite Bryce Mitchell is going in there, going to fight
I
Saeed
didn't even
Nurmagomedov.
know he was fighting this weekend, to be honest. I've
Yeah,
tuned him out.
yeah. You are right to do so. However, I think that the fight will be entertaining. I think that these are, two guys, especially, in terms of matchup. I mean, only a few of these are. I think 8 of the 12 fights are projected to end inside the distance. This is being one of them. I look at this fight and I see Bryce Mitchell probably has a grappling advantage, and I think that his grappling is pretty entertaining, and Said Nurmagomedov could get a KO here. So I think that, I think either way, someone's going down here. It's going to be a submission or a knockout. There's not a whole lot, and Scott has a good choice as well. There's not a whole lot to get really excited about here, but um, the card overall is just solid. It's no title implications really across the board, unless you think the Ritter could be, in which case, yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Like I said, narrow path, narrow path. But for Scott's fight, you alluded to it. He's got Asu Almabayev taking on Jose Ochoa, flyweight. Scott loves his flyweight fights. I like flyweight fights as well. Would you agree, Eric?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're typically pretty action packed. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, our front runner for fight of the year is a flyweight fight. So we'll see if these guys can follow suit on Saturday afternoon into night. It's 3 p.m. by the way, Eastern time for the main card.
ESPN, then ABC.
So yeah, the main card is on ABC. Is that correct?
Yeah, main card's on
Wow.
ABC. There's so many people that are going to watch this fight, but I think that we should do fight announcements on Dana White's Instagram.
There we go. Posting.
What we should do.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Forget the ABC audience. Instagram.
There we go. Yeah. You're making more and more of a case for it. But listen, we just alluded to sort of the quality of this card. For the event rating, we have a 69, which is actually ahead of UFC 318 pay-per-view last weekend. And to quote Scott, he said it is very, very deep with top 50 talent, according to Fight Matrix. So as far as entertainment, you could think what you want, but in terms of the quality of the fighters and the fights themselves from a rankings perspective, definitely up there, especially for a fight night. But I feel like whenever they do go to the Middle East, they really do try and put on some top quality cards, even if it is a fight night, right? So with that taken care of, Eric, let's wrap up this card with your 3 bets in 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jake. Before I get into the 3 bets in 3 minutes here, I just want to point out, I had probably my best weekend ever in terms of betting picks on the main card. I went 5-1 on picks, and I went 2-3 on the podcast. I had Daniel Rodriguez by decision at plus 880, which cashed. You could have even gotten plus 1,000 by the time fight rolled around because money came in on Holland. I'm just pumped, and if you had followed the article, which did really well. We had a 310% ROI on the main card. 5-1 hit Michael Johnson plus 500, Daniel Rodriguez by decision plus 880, fight goes decision, Holloway by decision, and we also had Pitbull by decision plus 300. What a day! Let's keep it moving here, and we get another awesome card here in Abu Dhabi, and we're going to go with 3 bets in 3 minutes, where we will start with Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. Marcus McGee getting a little old, actually. He's 35. He might not be, older in MMA years, but for bantamweight, 35, not a spring chicken. They're giving him a step up in competition here. But I think important, this fight is a 3-round fight. I actually think that favors Marcus McGee. I think Petr Yan is a little bit of a slow starter. We've seen him lose to Sean O'Malley in a 3-round fight as a big favorite. I think that McGee's live here. I really do. So I'm going to take a flyer here at plus 300 for Marcus McGee. We have a slow starter in Petr Yan. Who knows? McGee gets a first-round knockdown. You can even hedge out with Petr Yan if it gets to closer to evens or something like that. So I'll start with that, and then we're going to move over to the main event, and we're going to talk about Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. And I know we already broke this down, and we had talked about Reinier de Ridder potentially being a title contender, maybe Robert Whittaker getting a little bit older. And if there was happened to be a finish here, of course they would get to the title. Now Ritter is way bigger than Robert Whittaker. De Ridder is 6'4". Whittaker is not a big welter, not a big middleweight, former welterweight champion. And I am interested here at Reinier de Ridder. Plus 5.5, minus 145 against the spread, or you could take a shot on the money line at plus 140. I also see some maybe like reverse correlation of over 2.5 at minus 125. Middleweight fights go to decision at a pretty high clip, so over 2.5 at minus 125 is actually really solid value if you look at the historical data of it. So I'm going to go over 2.5 as I'm talking through. I'm going to go over 2.5, and there's a shot here on Reinier de Ridder at plus 140 that is real tasty, especially given how he looked against Bo Nickel. And last, we will go with Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. I said it was one of the fights to watch. I think it's super interesting that Bryce Mitchell comes in here as a favorite. Very, very slight. Said Nurmagomedov definitely finishable, and they're expecting this one to go the distance. It's over 2.5 is minus 165. And I actually like Bryce Mitchell here. I think I like him by submission, plus 500 on DraftKings. Smaller bet, nothing crazy. But I think that Said Nurmagomedov's a little bit sloppy, especially in terms of grappling, and Bryce Mitchell should have a wrestling advantage and get the job done here by submission, plus 500. Those are your 3 bets in 3 minutes.
So, Eric, I am going to throw it back to you for quick hits, but I'm gonna get started on a bit of an expanded quick hit because it does deserve some of its own attention. Um, Recently, we've received a press release from a certain Georgia Representative Brian Jack, as well as Kansas Democrat Sharice Davids, about the Muhammad Ali Revival Act. Now, a big story this year would be there were concerns whether or not the Muhammad Ali Act would kind of be done away with in general. The big news is that it has not been done away with, but that the proposed bill would have new additions that essentially would allow promoters to operate independently from sanctioning bodies, allowing them to create their own belts and rankings. Now, if you don't know, the Muhammad Ali Act is something that is it affects boxing, not MMA, which is the reason why the UFC is able to operate the way that it is, not how boxing does it, right? Boxing can't operate the same way that the UFC does. And of course, TKO has just gone into boxing with TKO Boxing. So I'm going to keep this one brief because I feel like someone maybe like Eric McGracken or Jonathan Nash could probably do a better job of talking about this legal jargon. But we'll see what happens there. So essentially, this would kind of give TKO that window that they've been looking for to operate as a business in a similar fashion that the UFC does. So we'll see what happens there. It's a proposed bill, still needs to get passed. So we'll see what happens there. Eric, why don't you take it away for quick hits?
Yeah, well done, Jake, and good points about the Ali Act. Basically, they're looking like it could end up being promotions popping up in boxing, and non freelancers with non-compete clauses is basically what TKO has been fighting for in boxing, which is not great for the boxers, but tis life. It happens. Move on to quick hits here. Terrible news. WWE legend Hulk Hogan has passed away. This is confirmed by the WWE. WWE legend and WWF legend, WCW legend. Formed the NWO, was a pioneer of the sport, also was in Rocky Balboa. Just an all-around, legend of WWE, kind of not exactly the same as UFC, but similar. Move on here. Dakota Ditcheva signs a multi-year, kind of surprising, signs a multi-year deal with PFL. Lots of people were asking when her contract was up. I asked her when her contract was up with the PFL. She ain't going anywhere. She's staying with the PFL, likely being paid handsomely, and probably nobody at her level in that promotion. Sean Strickland suspended indefinitely by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. You might have saw on social media, there was a viral clip of him and his teammate Chris Curvis charging in the octagon after one of his teammates lost a fight, and then the other guy did the DX suck it, and Sean Strickland ran into the cage, punched him in the face. After the fight was over, Sean Strickland is now suspended until they can convene for a disciplinary hearing, according to MMA Fighting. Ilya Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan are now trading barbs again online. Ilya Topuria saying that he's not going to fight Arman. They're trying to build this fight the best way that they can. Sounds like Max Holloway's going to be next, rightfully so. Bigger star, and Arman, there you have concerns about his weight. And Brendan Schaub breaking into Renato Moicano, who had a $200,000 check that is in an account right now that he is passing on because he is in solidarity, or maybe not in solidarity. He says that he just doesn't agree with the principle of it, that he agreed to a contract and he's going to honor it. Still makes no sense. Turning down 200 grand. Brendan Schaub rips him to shreds. Renato Moicano went back at him saying it's not about getting into the UFC's good graces. Brendan Schaub said, pretty much that it doesn't matter. You should be taking the 200K, invest that. Your kids will appreciate it later. Whatever. Renato Moicano's crazy for turning down money. Anyway, former UFC fighter Diego Sanchez arrested on gun charges. Allegedly fired a gun out of a car window. He's since been released in his pending trial. Another long-winded way of saying there's been some problems for former UFC fighters. But those are your quick hits I tore you around the current events in MMA.
There we go. Thank you so much for that, Eric. And let's move on to the final round. And Eric, did you watch Justin Gaethje versus Michael Johnson?
Yeah, I'd watched that fight live. That was a crazy fight back then. Michael Johnson was so fun. Still is fun, honestly. He's
Yeah.
still solid. His chin is gone a little bit. Obviously, his Gaethje fight might have been one of the reasons why. but because Gaethje was just rocking him with bombs. But thought it was fantastic. Gaethje, when he first came into the UFC, was such a savage. It was like him, Cowboy Cerrone, were like the guys that were just like pure violence,
This was
absolute pure.
insane. Yeah, I mean, listen, I came into this game a little bit later than you and Scott, right? And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, Justin Gaethje's the king of violence. He's been a little bit tame since, like, looking back at this one, I'm like, dude, what? This is insane. Like, I know he's gotten a little bit smarter, but this is like one of the first fights that I've watched from his as a whole. And yeah, dude, the guy literally just like swung through caution to the wind. It's insane. Like, yeah, he was just doing whatever it was like Michael Johnson owed him money. That's probably the way that I would describe it, you know? It's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought about the fight. And yeah, the highlight, I could see why he's named that. So I
Should have
was
been a quick hit. Should have been a quick hit. Justin Gaethje wants doesn't want to fight Paddy Pimblett and is still trading barbs with the UFC. That should have been a quick hit. But I figure I'll fit it in right in between last week's homework assignment. Justin Gaethje, maybe the last we've seen of him. Who knows?
I'm in agreement with Dana White. Retire if that's the case. I don't know. We already talked about this on one episode about my appetite for him facing Ilia Topuria. If they made it happen, I would watch it, but not my top
Watch
choice.
everything that the UFC puts out. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, like I said, let us know in the comments what you think about Justin Gaethje versus Michael Johnson. Next week's homework assignment, Scott gave us the homework. It's Kung Lee versus Scott Smith 1. It's a Strike Force fight. You might need UFC Fight Pass to watch it. I've never seen this fight. I'm sure that you haven't seen this fight, Jake.
No, I have
But
not. This might be my
I'm
first Strike Force fight.
I was Strike Force is a little bit before my time. I know they obviously UFC ended up buying Strike Force and whatever, but you've watched some Strike Force, no doubt, because Nick Diaz fought in Strike Force a little bit, and I'm
Well,
pretty sure.
yeah, I'm talking like full fights. Full fights. I don't know if I've ever.
Interesting. All right, fair enough. But that's next week's homework assignment, and then this week in MMA, Robbie Lawler, Tyron Woodley. Jake, have you ever seen that fight?
I have not.
Woo! All
Before
right,
my
that's gonna be
time.
assignment. Future homework assignment. Tyron Woodley was an absolute dog at this point. He's on the come up. Knocks out Robbie Lawler in the first round for the belt, and Robbie Lawler was the man at this point at welterweight. Was at just coming off the win over Rory McDonald,
Oh.
and yep, Tyron Woodley ends his title reign quickly and savagely, running at him with a right hand knockout, I believe. So fun stuff this week in MMA.
There we go. Alrighty. Eric, I think that just about wraps this week up. Thank you so much for joining me as always. And to you at home, enjoy the fights this weekend. Enjoy your homework assignment, and we will see you next week.